Hey everyone, you're listening to Party Time, My Golf Story with Kevin Walsh and whatever special guest he has today. You can check me out on episode 9 of the podcast. Today I'm wearing Grayson clothes while I'm out practicing because I believe in look good, play good. And follow me on Instagram, Sophia Warren Golf, and hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
Hey, what's going on? We got a really good show for you today. Tom Coyne, the legendary golf writer and one of my buddies from Philadelphia, who's just one of the most fascinating people in all of golf. He is our guest. He's going to tell us about some of his past projects, what he's working on right now, and what's coming in the future. And the whole thing about Tom, it's always interesting because at the core of it, he really is an interesting person. Would you do something interesting for me? Would you help me before we go any further? Would you please, if you haven't done it already, would you like the podcast and would you subscribe to it? If you've done that already, I appreciate it. But if you haven't yet, here's why I ask you that all the time. The numbers nerds at YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or whatever, they have all these algorithms. They collect all this data, and that goes a long way. So does a written review. So if you don't mind, please do that. And a big thanks to Party Drinks, our title sponsor of this. If you're looking for a drink alternative for golfers by golfers, Party, far better than beer or whatever tired, crappy seltzer you're drinking or something named after a time of the day. Party, for golfers by golfers, it makes all the difference. And if you have real estate needs in the greater Sarasota area, there's nobody better than the real estate team of Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro. You can check them out at suncoastdreams.com. as a division of Fine Properties, or you can also call them at 941-220-4000. Okay, enough of the preamble. Let's just get into it. Bring Tom Coyne into the conversation. Tom, my man, you look like you are poised and ready to go. Where are you joining us from?
Hey, Kevin. Thanks so much for having me on. I am here in the greater Philadelphia area, just outside the city in Devon, Pennsylvania. I'm not here as much as I'd like to be honest, but I am here this week. So that's nice. I'll be heading up to New York tomorrow to the Catskills. I'm sure we'll talk about why, but yeah, I'm here in Philly.
Help me explain something or help me understand something. And you're good at complicated things like that. I feel like you and I have a connection, and I know it's because of golf. That's probably the strongest part. But the fact that we're from Philadelphia, can you describe the Philadelphia golf fraternity, what it is and how it works?
Yeah, the Philly golf scene is strong to quite strong, I would say. It's been interesting because in my golf life, I came to know golf in Scotland and Ireland better than I knew golf around America because I didn't really golf anywhere else in America. Because when you grow up in Philadelphia, you don't really want for a lot in terms of designers. I mean, the Philadelphia school, from Tillinghast to Thomas to Flynn. There's just so many historical courses here. There's significant courses. There's new courses. There's public courses. There's, of great significance. There's what some call the best golf course in the world in Pine Valley. So we're spoiled for choice in Philadelphia. Not that I really consider Pine Valley a choice. I don't really walk up there every day and when I decide I feel like playing Pine Valley today, I'll go play it. That's not really how it works there, but it's a great golf scene. And, if you hang around it long enough, you do get to know people at Pine Valley and other places too, and get to play some pretty special places. So it's, obviously a great sports town. But I think, for golfers, it's just of all the great Philadelphia sports, golf is right at the top.
Yeah, I'm with you. Tom Coyne, the editor of the Golfer's Journal, is our guest here. Tom, anytime you talk about something, be it on the podcast, the Golfer's Journal, or you write something, I just find it fascinating. And I think that's because at the core of it, you're just an interesting person. Cool people. I have this theory. Cool people know they're cool. They just do. Are you at the core of it? Do you feel like you're a creative person and it comes out of you, or do you have to work at it?
Wow, that's a good question. I don't think I'm that cool, so that's cool. Especially now that I'm a dad of two, of a teenage girl and a 10-year-old. They remind me that I'm not terribly cool at all. But in terms of being interesting, I don't think I don't really try to work at being anything anymore. I think there was probably a time when I worried a lot about whether people thought I was interesting or whether I was doing interesting things or important things. Thank God that time has passed. I think right now I'm just interested in trying to remain as curious as I can about life and going places and meeting new people. And that's really what's always driven me is, trying to figure out and understand, why people do the things that they do. And golf has been such a great way to explore those ideas because you get to spend time with people in interesting places. So I don't think I'm so much the interesting one. I think that I've gone to a lot of interesting places and met a lot of interesting people. And my job is to sort of capture them as well as I can. And so if there's anything really interesting about me, it's that I've managed to do that for a long time and remain married, which is the most interesting bit.
Yes, you're a curious soul. The word curious jumped out at me because I think you're an expert observer of people. You're a good listener, and there are good stories all around you if you just happen to take them in and remember them and then write and speak eloquently about them. Let's go back to the beginning. Where does your golf journey begin? You're a Delco kid. Is that right? Okay.
Born and raised, the heart of Delco, Media, PA.
Right. For those that don't understand Delaware County, it's kind of like Philadelphia. It's like a different planet, just as Northeast Philly is different from South Philly, from Fishtown, from wherever. How do you describe Delco, and what was your neighborhood like growing up?
Yeah, so I came from the mean streets of Media, which it would be considered, I suppose, one of the nicer parts of Delaware County. But of the surrounding counties, Delaware County sort of intersects with like South Philadelphia and Southwest Philadelphia, really. And so it just has a really interesting character. It has an interesting accent. If you've watched Mayor of Easttown, that's Delaware County on HBO. So and it just has, if you're from, it's like you can take the kid out of Delaware County. You can't take Delaware County out of the kid. So what's great about it is where I caddied Rolling Green in Springfield, Pennsylvania, is really like authentically Delaware County. So you had this interesting mix of like, it wasn't like a sort of mainline blue blood stuffy kind of golf club. I mean, we had everything from, our members were school teachers and cops and firefighters. I mean, there were also lawyers and doctors, but it was a really interesting mix of people, and the caddies were really interesting too. So when I grew up, I mean, that's where I grew up playing, but I also probably more importantly grew up caddying there, because being a caddy taught me, I mean, gosh, that's the best education I've ever had in terms of learning about people, learning about how people live differently. I mean, because you're rubbing shoulders with like college kids on break, and then you're caddying for, these wealthy professionals, but then you're working alongside guys who are like, if they don't get out, like they don't eat that night. Or if they do get out, they're going to be late tomorrow because they went down, and tied one on somewhere. So it's, and you're seeing this when you're like 13 years old, and all these different ways of life. And you learn that life is sort of complicated and fascinating too. So best job I ever had, probably aside from writing, really the only other job I had.
I'm with you on that. Everything you said sounds like my story growing up in Huntington Valley and caddying there. The first time I really got a taste of colorful language, profanity. First time I ever saw drugs in any capacity, like who was using it and drinking to unhealthy levels. But to me, that was real life. And it was like to be exposed to that and to learn how to navigate through that. The life's lessons were just innumerable. And I'm so thankful to have them. And here I am on the back end of a very mediocre TV news and sports career, caddying again. Caddying was my first job, and I'm bookending this sandwich in between. Like, so caddying is the bread, and I'm thankful for the opportunity that I have to do it.
I'm coming right behind you, Kevin. I can see, that doing an encore, getting back out there. And because it was such a great job, the exercise, being outside, and gosh, you guys do pretty well these days, better than I certainly did back in the day.
Well, even back in the day, I remember the first loop I ever had was a single. It was for a woman, and she was with her family, and I made $13.50. And I just thought, well, I was 12. I mean, that was a lot of money back then, right? In today's dollars, that'd probably be like $60. You give a 12-year-old kid $60. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
You're playing golf. When did that start? Who got it started for you?
Yeah. So I grew up in a golf family. My dad played. He picked it up in the Navy. He was pre-Vietnam in Korea. He didn't pick it up in Korea, but that's when he went into the Navy. Picked it up in San Diego afterwards. So he'd grown up in Scranton and never picked up a golf club. So I have a debt of gratitude to the Navy and any military-based golf course. It's amazing how much they do to actually grow the game. So he became a golfer. My brother became a good golfer. So I kind of resisted golf because my brother was really good at it, and I wanted to do you don't want to do what your older brother does, or sometimes you do, but in my case, I didn't. But eventually, I was going to the junior clinics, 8, 9, 10 years old, and they started putting me into the inter-club matches and playing against the other courses in Delaware County and around the Philly suburbs. And that part of it, once it got competitive, then I really got hooked. Wanting to practice, wanting to get better, wanting to win. Because at that age, you sort of, soccer and little league and things like that, and it's all about you're really into wins and losses, and I want to do this someday, and all this sort of big sports dreams. So once it got like competitive with people, I did really get into it. And then by the time I was 12, I wasn't playing baseball anymore. I was just playing golf, and golf all summer, caddy in the morning and play golf all afternoon. So it was like Rolling Green was like my summer camp, and I'm very, very fortunate for that. I apologize for my very rude dog if you hear me.
Oh, no. That's part of the equation. I might have a German Shepherd kicking down the door here. Just thicker bark's a little more powerful than who is that, by the way?
That's Duncan. And if you don't let him in the office, he will bark. And then if you don't let him out of the office, he will bark. So he's not.
You want to let him in? You want to just let him in?
No, he's here. He's good. He calmed down.
Okay,
he's a good boy.
Yeah. So you were talking about your dad and how he got his start in the military playing golf, and ultimately you got hooked on it. When did you know you were good?
I probably never. That's a good question, because I think there's still a part of me that doesn't think I'm good, and that's what's great about golf, right? That we keep chasing that day when we can say we're good and we are as good as we thought we might be. It's sort of complicated. I mean, I guess I realized, in high school that I was better than the other kids who were going out for the golf team. And, but I got to college and tried out for the team at Notre Dame and didn't make the team. So that was sort of humbling. So I kind of took some time off from golf, but I always had that lingering, always wondered, I was, when I was like a 3 handicap, 4 handicap when I was in high school, and thought, what if I also played football. So there was this feeling of what if I just really had dedicated everything to golf? How good could I have been? That actually ended up being the impetus for one of my books.
Yes. Paper Tiger. I think that's great. Why don't we get into that? So you just kind of put life on hold and did you run up a bunch of credit card debt to make this all happen? But what's the genesis behind Paper Tiger and seeing if you could make it as a touring golf professional? I've read it, loved it. I felt like I was there with you every step of the way, laughing with you, crying with you, but go back to the beginning.
Yeah, Paper Tiger was great. I mean, with the first book, A Gentleman's Game was a novel, and it was about caddies and all those things I just, talked about growing up at an exclusive country club. But I wrote that when I was 23, 24 years old. And, I was very grateful it got published and made into a movie. And, it was a pretty wild experience, but everything I knew about the world was in that book. So I realized I had to go out and do something interesting and go live some life. And I thought, well, if I could do anything, what would I do? And at that time I wasn't married and no kids, and was living on at the ancestral estate, as we like to call it, rather than saying I was living in my parents' basement. What would I do if I could do anything? And it was, okay, I want to know how good I can get at golf. And because it's that great bait and switch of golf, right? That you hit one good shot or two good shots or three good shots, and you think, I can't like dunk a basketball or make 10 3-pointers, but I can do maybe once or twice every time I'm out there, something as well as Scotty Scheffler does it. I mean, like a 5-foot putt. We can both do that. I don't hit the ball as far as he does, but I can hit a fairway. So it becomes this great, it's the great lie, of course, but it's the great draw as well. So I said, all right, I'm going to go find out how good I can actually get if I don't have any excuses or any reasons to not, that to get in the way. So I'll go have everything the pros have. So I moved to Florida, down to south of you, down to Bonita Springs, worked with a coach there, Dr. Jim Suddy at Twin Eagles. So I got a coach, a shrink, a trainer, nutritionist, an equipment sponsor, lost 35 pounds, got down to like a +1, and then went around the world to Q schools trying to play on various professional tours. So trying to play golf at the next level. I don't want to spoil the ending of that book for anyone, but they might notice that I'm here talking to you in my office about my books and not about my professional playing career.
Well, it didn't work out as a playing professional, but it worked out as a great book. And I think that was a launching pad for the rest of your golf writing. How do you find book ideas, or do they come to you? Do people suggest them? So I think that's leading me to a course called Ireland.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think with, it's been interesting. I've done fiction, and I went to graduate school, and sort of my training was in fiction writing. I went to a fiction writing program. And, but once I started doing nonfiction, true stories, about, my life, and I was where I was becoming a character in them, then it became a matter of, what do I really want to do? And, you have to be, if you're going to dedicate a year of your life or more, you really have to be passionate about whatever idea, that you're chasing. So it came down to like, the idea generation is like, what could I see myself spending the next 3 years of my life doing? One, to go on the adventure, then to write it, then to edit it, market it, etc. So, if that passion or that joy or that interest and that the compulsion to do something isn't there, it's just not going to last. It's not, and it's going to come through, and the pages are going to be weak. So it really, with all the ideas, I had to get to the point where like, this is something I have to do. And I had to get way past the
purpose.
point. A purpose. You're driven. It had to have a purpose. It couldn't be, maybe I'll do this, or this might be a good idea. I wish it was that easy, because I would have had written 20 books by now instead of working on number 6. But for me, it just has to get to the point where it becomes your life.
Tom Coyne is our guest. He is the editor of the Golfers Journal, and he's also the podcast host for the Golfers Journal. Let's take a deeper dive into the writing, if we can, Tom. I look at writing. I've written 3 books. I have not had the commercial success you've had, but I really enjoyed the process at times, and I really hated it at times because I felt like it owned me. Did you have a similar experience?
Well, I think, who was it? Was it Eudora Welty or somebody who said, I hate writing, but I love having written. And it's a lot like exercise in that sense. If I don't have a productive day in terms of the things that I'm working on, and it's not always, writing a new feature or a chapter or something like that. Maybe it's some other sort of mundane writing or a lot of editing. But if I'm not putting the hours in every day on something, then I feel sluggish. Like I feel like the day's been wasted. I feel like I didn't exercise, versus those days when you put the time in, even if you only have a couple pages to show for it. I come out of the office, usually very late when I come out of the office, but I come out just feeling on fire, and I can't wait to get back to it. None of it's ever easy, and I think it's still, working on book 6, there's still the anxiety of like, do I know how to do this? Are they going to figure out that I'm a fraud? Is this book going to be the one that ruins my career? Whatever. Like, all that doubt is still there. But I think at this point, I've gotten. You start to realize the things you're good at, the things you're not good at, and the things that people respond to or they don't respond to. And so, I feel a little more comfortable at this point, knowing that I don't have to. The blessing after having done this for a while is that I don't have to try as hard. And as a young writer, like A Gentleman's Game, I think is a good book, but man, the sentences are like I'm trying to win an award with each one. And I don't feel the compulsion. I don't feel that it's necessary anymore. And
Simple
I think
works,
that actually,
right?
Yeah. I mean, clarity, conviction, honesty, all those things are more important. I mean, I still love to play around with sentences and cadence and rhythm. And those are things that are just interesting to me. And I think help tell a story and bring a reader into a story. But, it's, I think the more honest and clear that one can be and let the story do the work, as long as your eyes are open wide enough to really see the story, then you're going to be in good shape.
Yeah, just put it out there, keep it simple, let it flow, and you're really good at it. Every time that I read one of your books, I feel like I'm a fly on the wall, or I'm riding in the backseat of a station wagon, and we're going somewhere, and whoever we're meeting is going to be interesting, because I just feel like there's something's coming. There's something fun about it, and that's the beauty of golf, and I think that's the beauty of what writing can be. And in reading a good book, you're mentioning something that's coming down the road. I also want to mention just very quickly a course called Scotland, a course called America. Loved them both. But number 6 is a course called Home. Yeah. What's the story behind that and the going back and forth between Philly and the Catskills in New York?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been an interesting couple of years, Kevin. So I guess it was the year before last. I got a DM on Twitter from a superintendent at a 9-hole golf course in the Catskills called Sullivan County Golf Club. I didn't know any of that. I just got a DM from someone who said, "Hey, there's this golf course. It's going to close. It's been open for 100 years. Do you want to come check it out?" Maybe so that I could write about it, or that I knew people in golf development or architecture that could maybe save it. So at the time, I had a book deal without a subject, and said, "Well, let me check it out. Like this, maybe this is happening for a reason." That kind of reaction or response to that's sort of like, why not? Like, let's give it a shot. I mean, that's really been the spirit of a course called Ireland, a course called Scotland, a course called America. So I said, well, let's go take a look. So I went up there and looked around. It was not a pretty scene in the Catskills in February or March or whenever I got up there. But I thought, this could be my chance to, instead of being a golf sort of taker and consumer, maybe it's time for me to get on the other side of it and try to become a golf provider. So I worked out a deal with the owners that I could become the operator for that year, which was last year. And then at the end of that year, I would have the option to buy it or walk away. And so that's what we did. I ran a golf course all of last year, and mowing the fairways, stocking the shop, selling memberships, basically trying to turn the fate around of this really sporty, wonderful 9-hole golf course in the Borscht Belt in New York State, which is where it's dirty dancing country. It's the Catskills with those huge Jewish resorts that all closed in the 80s and 90s, and really in their wake, these towns, a lot of them, like this specific town, Liberty, where the golf course is really it's had its struggles. So to try and so many golf courses up there had closed since the resorts left. So it became a bigger story for me than just like, it was originally just going to be like, we bought a zoo, and like, look how crazy it is now that I get to run a golf course and see how bad and good and fun and crazy it all is. And it became a lot more about the people, the community, trying to keep this good thing, just trying to keep a good thing alive. And so since you'll know and this is out there, this isn't a secret, but the book got longer because we did decide to buy the golf course over the off season. And so it won't be just a 1-year story. It's going to be a 2-year story as we undertake now putting in a restaurant, relocating some golf holes so we can put in a driving range, putting in a putting course, putting out a patio with outdoor dining, a whole new pro shop. So I got some partners and some investors. There's 3 of us really got together, myself, Bill Murray, the actor, and a friend from California, Mike Madden, who is of the Madden football family. And so uncommon golf buddies over the years. You don't know quite how sure, your lives intersect. Well, that's what's great about golf,
Right.
If you would have told me I would someday own a golf course with Mike Madden and Bill Murray, I would certainly not believe you. But that's what we're doing. So yeah, I'll be up there tomorrow trying to get the place open.
That's super cool. Caddyshack. How many times have you seen it? Do you even know?
Oh, it's just one of those things. It just plays in the background of your life. If you're in golf, it's on a loop in your head.
Yeah. Every line. Like if I described a scene, you're right there with me.
Yeah, and I've never made the mistake of quoting it or doing it in front of Bill, which I think is good. He might be cool about it, but how lame would that be? I try to avoid. It's cool. I mean, we've just Bill's just a guy who really loves golf, and was actually probably more interested in investing in the area and putting money where it can do good. I don't think any of us are going to get rich on this endeavor. Tee times are $20. But it's the idea of us, we're not saints. It's not all about, we're just giving back to golf. We want to have a successful business. But it's just a good place that deserves to still be there. And the people in Liberty deserve to have their golf course. And so that's what we're doing.
Tell me about your relationship with Bill. I think I've heard you tell this story before. Was there a phone call to a number in South Carolina?
No. Well, I mean, so I know Bill because of Brian Doyle Murray, his older brother.
Lou, the caddy master, right?
Lou, the caddy master, actually played a caddy in A Gentleman's Game, the movie version of my first book. So that was what a thrill that was to have Brian to have, the writer of Caddyshack playing a caddy in this story that I wrote. So that was incredibly cool. But that was back in, 2001. And I kept in touch with Brian over the years and got to know some more of the family, got to know Joel, who from any number of movies or Mad Men, etc. And then on a trip and then along the way, Bill gave me Brian put me in touch with Bill to get a blurb for my Ireland book. So that's 2007. So that was probably the first time we interacted, and he gave me a very generous quote that we put on the cover of the Ireland book, and certainly helped sell a lot of copies. So that was very cool. But it would be years later when I was doing the America book that I spent a weekend with Bill and Brian at Prairie Dunes in Kansas, where Brian Doyle Murray is a member because he lives in Kansas City. And the Golfers Journal is actually out there right now with some of our members. But such an incredible golf course, and spent that weekend together. And from there, we decided to do an Ireland trip together, which we did a couple years ago and filmed it and put it on YouTube. So that's out there if people want to check that out. A week in Ireland with me and 18 Murrays, sons, cousins, brothers, a pretty wild thing. So, that it's golf, as a grown, man, it's not that easy to. If I didn't have golf, I don't know if I'd have friends. I just there's not I'm not a kind of person that calls you up to check in, how you doing? How was your day? That's not what I do. I'm either working or sleeping or playing golf. Right. So thank God for golf, because of golf, I have friends and I've gotten to meet interesting people, and I would count Bill among them.
You're telling my story too. Without golf, I just don't know exactly what I'd be doing. It enriches my life in so many ways. The people it's introduced me to, the things I can think about because I have golf in my life. I always have a forward point because of that. It's just a special part of my life. Tom Coyne is our guest here. He is the editor of the Golfer's Journal and also the podcast host of the Golfer's Journal. Tell me a good story, a really good story that would, if we were sitting down and having a cup of coffee and there were people around and you just really wanted to make them laugh or inspire them, what would it be?
Well, I would say I'll probably go with, well, let's stick with the theme of, since we're talking about the Murrays. I got to do this really cool thing so Bill lives in Charleston. And I was down there. It was 2 years ago around Christmas time, and I was giving a talk at the Charleston Music Hall as a fundraiser for the Charleston Muni, which is a great little golf course. And Bill came, and we played Yeamans Hall together, which is a great old McRainer golf course down in Charleston. So the night after, so I did the talk. And then Bill called, later that night and was like, "Hey, Chevy's in town. Do you want to have breakfast?" And I thought, yes, I do want to have breakfast with you and Chevy Chase. So strangely enough, Chevy Chase was in Charleston touring, doing his Christmas vacation tour. And so Bill's like, okay. He's like, I'm not sure if it's going to work out or, it's still up in the air. So if you hear from me before 8:00, it's on. If you don't hear from me, then it's by 8:00, then it's off. And so, I'm up at like 7:15 sitting there waiting for the phone to ring, and it does ring. And Bill's like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm sitting here in my room waiting for you to call me." He's like, "I'm in the lobby. Let's go." So, okay. So Bill can keep you on your toes for sure. So went downstairs. Chevy was actually staying at Yeamans Hall, so we drove back out to Yeamans Hall. Went and knocked on the door of the house where they have homes there, and where Chevy was staying, and him and his wife came and joined us for breakfast. And so I'm just sitting there at the table with Bill Murray and Chevy Chase eating eggs, and I'm just like, what is going on? You talk about like surreal moments. It was just like, I don't even know how to process like the reality here. So, I had a flight at like 10 o'clock in the morning, but I was like, screw it. I'm not interrupting this to catch a flight. But Bill recalled that I had a flight. At one point he's like, "Hey, you have to go to the airport." I'm like, "God, don't worry about it." He's like, no, we'll go. And I had like a half hour to get there. And, I'm like, I'll never make it. So, but Bill showed the value of being Bill Murray in Charleston, because not only did we get there quickly, he was able to sort of park his car where they don't let you park your car, grab my bag, went right to the front of the line, threw it over like across the desk. It was like, he's going to Philadelphia, and just left. And everyone was happy to let me just go and get on the plane. So he hooked me up there. So that was a pretty wild morning, and one of those moments where you're like, man, thank God for golf, right?
It helps. Yeah, thank God for golf, and it helps to know good people who can get you out of a jam or get you ahead in a line, or something like that. Tell me something. When I listen to the Golfer's Journal with the music, the way it seems structured or whatever, to me it seems old school, which I like because I'm very old school. Is that the plan? Is that the feel for it? Am I onto something, or do you have a different take?
Well, I think the Golfer's Journal is meant to sort of feel like, hopefully we try to have a little bit of something for everyone, and try to offer you an alternative to sort of what you expect or traditional golf media, and really create sort of an elevated media experience. So like the book itself, and we call it a book because it's heavy. It feels like a book. It's a quarterly. It has very minimal advertising. It's not full of like swing tips. It has long form writing. It has, I would say, the best photography in golf. So you put all those things together, and it's very different than what else is out there. And so I think that's really where the idea came from. Like, let's try and, as the world is zigging, let's sort of zag and give people an alternative to a lot of advertisements or paid advertising and things like that. So let's try and do something commercially quiet and something a little more golf pure. And so yeah, no, I do think that feeling sometimes can give you the sense. Trying to do that can give you the sense that it's sort of an older soul kind of vibe. But I know our publisher wouldn't. He definitely I think our readership probably skews much younger, which is great. That we do have. I mean, I think across the board, our readers, it's a wide range, but it probably goes from 30 to 75. But I'd say it's relatively even across that scale, which is cool. Because there's something classic about it, but I do think that there's something very cool about it as well. And that kind of grows out of, I mean, the Golfer's Journal came from the Surfer's Journal. Our publisher owned the Surfer's Journal, started the Golfer's Journal, now is exclusively on the Golfer's Journal. So, and the two magazines come out of the same office in San Clemente, California. So there's like I think there's a bit of a California cool vibe, especially to the earlier books, and we still want to stay cool. So, but not like without trying to be cool, because then it's not cool if you're trying to be cool, right?
Exactly.
Isn't that the conundrum?
Well, that's
at the end of the day,
earlier.
yeah, exactly. We're trying to tell really good golf stories. We're trying to do the best job at storytelling in golf, and that's our goal.
You're crushing it. Tell me one last story as we get a little tight on time here. Is golf in a good place? Does anything need to change about it, or do you like where it is right now?
Well, right now it's in a very good place. The COVID boom has not only lasted, I think it's turned into something else. Like, it's continued. I think golf's on an upward trend. I mean, you can see evidence of that in, I don't know if it translates to, I think that golf, all this stuff about, the pro tours and all this, that, and the other. I mean, that's, to me, especially being at the Golfer's Journal, where we write about pro golf, but we don't like cover tournaments per se, because we run a quarterly and it's not really what we do. We intersect with it all the time, but it does remind you that those stories and that part of golf, that's like less than 1% of golf. Like, there's all this other golf out there. And that's just thriving. And whether that be amateur golf or women's golf or college golf or beginner golf or top golf or whatever, golf's fun. Thanks to Netflix, and thanks to things, I hope, like the Golfer's Journal and all these podcasts and all these different ways you can consume your golf without actually playing it anymore. Golf's in a good spot. And things that you might want to do differently. I mean, golf in this country is just too expensive, but that's something that we are working hard, like at Sullivan County, to provide affordable golf to a community. So
yes, $20, $20.
Yeah, come play for $20. Yep,
we need more of that stuff. Hey, Tom, really appreciate the time. Always enjoy talking to you. Let's keep in touch. Anytime you need me, I'm here for you, because we're friends of golf. We have the broadcast, the writing thing in common. Love everything you're doing at Sullivan County Golf Club, and looking forward to A Course Called Home when that comes out in 2025. So you come back on. You have an open invite for that. And also a big thanks to our title sponsors, Party Drinks. If you're looking for a drink alternative, Party is the drink for you. And the golf real estate pros, Vince Visicaro and Gene Walsh from SuncoastDreams.com, a division of Fine Properties in Sarasota. Tom, you be good. Keep playing good golf and keep putting out good content, and we'll keep watching. All right, my man?
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
All right, you got it. For Tom Coyne, I'm Kevin Walsh. Thanks for listening to It's Party Time, My Golf Story.
You've been listening to It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers, and the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Vizzacaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com or call 941-220-4000.